What's good, y'all? Back with another video. Fresh tea as always. Appreciate the love I've been getting on the past couple videos. The views have been increasing, which is what I want to see. Consistency on my part and consistency of the views. Like always, please, I ask you guys to please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about a video. Comment as well so we can continue to build community in these videos as well. Today's video will be about Kanye West. Now, last couple of videos I did ASAP, I did Travis, I did Drake. And all those videos, I believe, at least for the last two, I've definitely spoken about Kanye a lot. And he's kind of been missing in action. We see him in the headlines walking through the street barefooted or in socks with his wife, his new wife. And, it hasn't really been much talk about music. I've been personally research, sort of looking him up and seeing what he's been doing recently. He's been hanging out with Fabulous, which is the most random thing to me. I know that they just reported that he increased Adidas quarter 3 sales just because he did the Yeezy Day, the Yeezy Day, and they're trying to offload all the stock they have of all the Yeezys they have, so they have this little deal with him right now. But what I want to get into is why I personally believe his next album should be good, a dollar sign job. I can't say that middle word just because of YouTube monetization. I'm not even monetized yet, but it's just for good practice. But I believe his next album should be good, a dollar sign job. Now, if you don't know the backstory on that album, is originally when Kanye released College Dropout, and I believe right before late registration, I believe it was, he already mapped out all the next 3 albums following College Dropout. So it's going to be Late Registration, which came next. So I believe, and I can look this up. College Dropout was 2005, I believe. Let's see. I can make sure that is correct. College Dropout. I'm pretty sure the biggest song from there is what would that be? I don't think it's Through the Wire. It's probably maybe All Falls Down. So let's see. College Dropout. That was released in 2004. Okay, so College Dropout is 2004. Late Registration is 2005, which is the second album. Third album is Graduation, which I believe was with 2007 or 2007. And then we also get after that we were supposed to get a fourth album, which was supposed to be called Good, a dollar sign job. And he even said in an interview, he said, "What do you do after you graduate? You get a good job." So I believe that he was working on this directly right after Graduation. But as you know, Graduation was released, let's see, because it's showing me they can't tell me nothing. Mixtape was right before Graduation. Graduation was released September 11th, 2007. His mother passed that November. So in the middle of him working on that album, it's like everything just went kind of downhill. His mom passed away. He had a fiance at the time. They broke up. And we end up getting an album that you now know as 808s and Heartbreak. And this is during the Glow in the Dark tour when he's on tour with NERD, Lupe Fiasco. I forget who else was on that tour. And he kind of just changed the whole sound of music at that time. I mean, we wouldn't have Drake without 808s and Heartbreak. We wouldn't have The Weeknd without 808s and Heartbreak. Majority of the sub-genre of majority of these artists that we have out nowadays, the Uzis, the Cardis, these are all 808s babies, man. Because we all grew up around that time when I was I think I was in middle school or maybe younger when 808s dropped. So during that time, is the time where the shift of music changed. It went from everything was just street rap. We're talking 50 Cent, we're talking Jeezy, we're talking Lil Wayne, T.I., and it just switched to it was all if you want to say blog rap, or Lupe was out at the time, but then we started getting following that, we got the Drakes, we got the J. Cole's, we got the Wale's, we still had Meek Mills up in the mix, we Kendricks. So things started to switch right in there, and So Far Gone is literally like a baby of 808s and Heartbreak, and I would say Love Below by Andre 3000. But to continue on, not to go on a tangent, we never got the album Good A Job. He puts out 808s and Heartbreak. Following that is the whole Taylor Swift incident, and he disappears and he goes to Hawaii. Now that again is when Good A Job is supposed to come out then. But then he puts on, I believe, Twitter. He says the album is no longer called Good A Job. We're working out titles right now. He goes to Hawaii. He makes My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and then we get that, the hits off of that: Runaway, Devil in a New Dress. What else is on there? Lost in the World, Blame Game. Classic album. I love that album. All the Lights is the biggest song on that album, but we never got that album. Then it was also brought up again around the time when he was around Chance that they were going to do a collab album, and that was going to be called Good A Job. Never came to fruition. So all these years later, we never got that album. I always look up that album just to see if there's any snippets or anything. I believe Mama's Room is from that album. I thought White Dress was, but White Dress was specifically made. If you never heard White Dress, look it up. It's from the Man with the Iron Fist soundtrack, part 2. I thought that song was made for that, but it wasn't. But that song is fire. But I believe Mama's Room was made for that, and that's the only song I think I've heard that it was specifically made for that album. And I can't even confirm if that is true, but I just seen it on a bunch of Reddit posts. And when I look up that album, when I look in the articles and stuff, they always make reference that song. But we never got that album. So why I think it's perfect right now is when he made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is, I think, held in regard as probably his best album to recent date. I probably would say some people might say Graduation is, just because they love, flashing lights and stuff. But I think that if you think of Kanye, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is probably named 9 times out of 10 as his best album. And that was during a time when everything turned against him. He's supposed to go on tour with Lady Gaga. That got canceled. Because he just disappeared. He was exiled from media. Everyone hated him. All because of that Taylor Swift incident. He goes away, makes this album. Everybody loves him again. Kanye just seems to have this kind of thing where he can just mess up in the public, go crazy, and then come back and people just forgive him if he delivers on the art. So the reason why I think it's the perfect time right now is, it's obvious of all the things he's going through in the last couple of months, but I have a couple key points. The first thing I'll bring up is that Donda 2 was a miss. Honestly, it never was officially released. It was released on the stem player, but it never got officially released. I don't even think it was particularly finished, because I believe even some songs that were played at them stadium shows were never finished. Now, if you remember, during the first Donda, he did a couple of stadium. He was living at the stadium, I believe at Mercedes-Benz. I believe it was Mercedes-Benz. He was living in that arena, and I think every week doing the Donda album, but it was always a different iteration of that album. For instance, there was one time that the song Jail had Jay-Z on it, and then another time when the song had the Baby on it. So there was always constant changes going on, and I would say Kanye has been doing that since Life of Pablo. He's been constantly changing songs. If you look back at Waves, if you look at Wolves, he's constantly just been nitpicking at albums, even though it's currently released. But even at that time, Donda 1 still wasn't even released until weeks later. We thought we were going to get it the first time he announced it on the first date of that concert where he was playing the songs. Didn't get released, I believe, until maybe almost a month later, because he was trying to release around the same time Drake was dropping Certified Lover Boy for whatever reason, that whole beef and everything. Now, Donda 2 was supposed to happen, I believe, top of the year, which I believe Donda got released in September or August of that year. Let me see. I can actually check. I believe it was, I know Certified Lover Boy got released in September. So Donda should have been released, I believe, in August or September as well. Because it was around the same time, like I said, he was trying to compete with him on albums. But, it didn't really work in his favor, because the label eventually took the album, or, he somehow it got turned in and got released. He wasn't happy it got released, but it got released. So let's go see. We're going to Yay, Kids See Ghost, Jesus is King, Donda. Donda was released on August 29th. So yeah, right around September, it got released on August 29th. Because somehow the label got a version of the album. This is what has been said, and it was released, and he was not happy it was released. But once it was received well. I love Donda, in my opinion. I love songs like Hurricane. I love songs like what's the song called? With Baby Keem, Into the Night. Let's see. Praise God. Let's see, I'm looking at the track list right now. Hurricane's my favorite. Off the Grid, of course, amazing. I mean, Fabio killed it. Also love Cardi on that song. Remote Control, I love that song. Yeah, so overall, I believe that Down to Two was a success. First week sales for that album was around 295. Or no, I'm sorry, 309. So that's probably Kanye's best-selling album of recent date, because I don't even think Ye sold that much. Jesus the King definitely didn't sell that much. In my opinion, it's considered a gospel album, especially with all like the profanity muted on it. So in my opinion, it's the best gospel album of recent, at least that I've enjoyed. So Down to Two comes around. I believe it's supposed to be released later that year. I wonder if it has it listed that Down to Two is supposed to be when Down to Two was supposed to be released. And he announced that Future was going to be the executive producer on the album. I remember it was the same house, the Donda house. So yeah, it's supposed to be. It was said to be released on February 23rd. I remember it's supposed to be released on February, but I didn't know the exact date. And it never was fully released. It was released only on the stem player, and the songs weren't even finished. It's actually labeled as a demo album because the songs are not even finished. You know, we heard about features with the Migos on it. We heard about features with Jack Harlow on it, Soldier Boy on it. But I still this day have never even heard all of the songs. I think I've heard like a little bit of like a snippets of them, just because like I watched like certain snippets on Twitter stuff of the show that he played some of the songs, but we never even officially got the release. So in my opinion, I don't want to say it's a flop, but it's a miss. It's just a never was, because to the public we don't even know about that album, so we never got it. So technically Kanye West hasn't released the album since 2021. Now the second point I have is that on the Game's Easy verse, I believe he put out his best verse to date. Yeah, he dissed Pete Davidson on it, but the thing is, he was just saying, just being introspective. The bars he was spitting on that song, I believe, is one of his best verses. Is one of his best verses that he's done of recent date. So I believe he's in a rapping bag. Now, where this all falls short at is we then follow up with him doing all these Jewish attacks, you know, putting on Twitter DEF CON. He's going to go DEF CON. And that was like the weirdest thing to read that night. And to think that he was going to get up the next morning and who knows what he was going to do. Like, what does that mean? First off, what does DEF CON mean? And why did he think he can just put that on Twitter and disappear? I think Dave Chappelle even said something like that. The fact that you can just say that on Twitter and then disappear and think that you're still going to be able to come back on Twitter and just do whatever you want. No, once you put that up, we're going to take your Twitter away. Then his Hitler rants. You know, he's going on shows with Alex Jones, and he's speaking with Sneeko and Nick Fuentes and Milo. And you can obviously see all these people that have agendas or exploiting his celebrity to try to push out this narrative against different race groups or different groups of ethnicities, and also minorities if you're speaking about blacks. And it's like you're just being used as a puppet at this point. You're trying to get your said point out, but it doesn't matter, because the people that are using you are just using your celebrity and your platform that you are on their show or their platforms to boost theirs and get their message out. And now you're just winning them audience at the end of the day. Then we hear that, you know, he's putting them on his campaign. You know, he's putting Nick Fuentes on his campaign. He's putting Sneeko on his campaign, and they're promoting Yeezy, Yay 2023, and it's our 2024, and it's just like it was like a weird moment when he's like going on Alex Jones' show and just saying all this stuff, and he's going around wearing a mask and doing all these rants, and he's getting dropped by all these. He got dropped by a bank. What was it? I don't even know what bank it was. I think it was. I want to say it was. I don't want to name the bank. Let's see. Kanye dropped by bank. Kanye was dropped by JP Morgan and Chase. Like, how were you dropped by a bank? Like, a billionaire dropped by a bank just sounds crazy, but it's like, that's how hard he was going, where he was literally just coming at a certain group of people that already went through turmoil in the past, and now you're sitting here trying to call them out, like this specific group alone. Like, you know that your words are divisive and people are going to follow that the same way they do with other people that have done the same thing in your position, but you still are so blind on your mission that you don't care who you tread on to get to where you need to get to. So we go through all that, and then I want to say maybe months later, or maybe within, I don't think it was in the thick of things, but it was like when things were kind of like he wasn't as much in the news as he was before, because at one point it was a hot topic. Every day it was a new Kanye headline. But then now we get a release of this song called Someday We'll All Be Free. Now I can't lie. When I heard this, like first off, I love that every time somebody samples that. I believe that Jay-Z sampled that on Legacy off of 444. So every time I hear that sample, and I don't even know what that sample is, let me see, Legacy Jay-Z sample. But I remember when just hearing Kanye West, Donny Hathaway, Someday We'll All Be Free. So every time I hear that sample, I don't know why it always catches me, but he's talking about the things with Kim, and that's the other thing too. Like the other stuff he was going through at the time, he was talking about Pete Davidson, making videos about killing Pete Davidson. He's calling him out online. He's talking about his wife online, his kids, all this stuff, arguing with his wife. And it's just like, he's doing all this stuff. And then he releases this song, Someday We'll All Be Free. And I can't lie, there's a lot of people that were like, their ears perked up, like, oh my God, like, okay, but he's getting his chop and soul bag, and he's kind of getting introspective, and people were already up to be like, oh man, I might be down to forgive him if he's gonna release some good music. And it's like the fact that that can even happen is the fact that Kanye has to realize that he's gotten so much in people's good graces over time that even though he's making these mistakes, as long as he's going to be apologetic about these things, people out there are willing to accept his apology. Yeah, I won't say he's going to win everybody over again, because you've probably done some irreparable damage where you can't come back from for certain people. But there's going to be a fan base out there that's always going to love Kanye just because of the things that he's done in the past. Said his things like about George Bush, and done things that made people of minorities or, certain age groups just feel a way about his music. He's delivered amazing art over the years. The other thing I would say is he's probably a little bit more steady in life because now that he has a new wife. I can't say I know too much about his wife. Maybe there's some other people out there that research it. I don't really care too much to know about people's wives. Honestly, in the past, I haven't even cared. As a kid, I didn't think about it, but I don't care now to know about people's political agendas or political beliefs. Man, it's all about the art. Keep it art. I don't care about any of your political beliefs. But yeah, I don't know much about his wife, but he does seem like he's happy. And you can go off of photos, but having a wife in your life, from what I've understood, as I'm not personally married, I heard it brings stability to life. And maybe that has brought him more stability, just not having to worry about Kim, being able just to focus on co-parenting and being able to focus on the other things that he has in life. That he has a wife that is like, it seems to be more understanding than Kim was, and maybe more able to be more flexible to what he wants out of a wife. The other thing that kind of caught me off guard too, is the fact that Drake released Search and Rescue as a diss, and it has, I don't want to say as a diss, but there's obviously Kanye jabs on there, especially with Kim's voice being on there, the things that she's saying, especially when you are, in the past, suspected of sleeping with Kim, to have her sound seductive on your songs, and it sounds in a way like you're speaking to her specifically. Kanye didn't even respond. There was a text that Ian Connor posted about people being vindictive or something like that. Or everything's fair in war and stuff like that. But he didn't really say enough in public. And that kind of makes me seem like he's growing to not care about the small things or the small jabs that people are making about his ex-wife. And maybe he's down to move on. It seems to be happily married. He has his own wife, everything going on. So maybe he's able to move on and not have to worry about the things of the past. I don't believe the Kardashian family was always right for him anyway, in my opinion, just because it's a different kind of spotlight. We've seen so many people crumble that have been involved with that family. So I didn't understand it. When I remember being in high school and seeing them getting together, and I'm just like, why? Like, I just didn't get it. Like, why her? There's so many women that Kanye could have been with, and it's like, you chose this one girl that everybody gets around her. It just seems to just go bad every time, But, we're talking about Ray J. We're talking about, I believe, Reggie Bush. It's just so many people that before him, the Chris Humphreys, you know what I mean? Like, why do you care? Why did you want that? But I guess it was the hottest girl at the time, so he went for the hottest girl. Now, the other thing I can say that kind of, seems like he's kind of gotten the good graces of some people is he's working with Adidas again. Now, in what capacity? Yeah, it might be less than what it was before, but I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But He had a Yeezy Day recently where they sold a good majority. I don't know if they sold all of it, but they sold a good majority of the stock they had of Yeezy's branded stuff, and it boosted their sales by 85% for quarter 3, just alone off of Kanye, shoes alone. So that shows you that he still has lasting power and staying power in the world because people are still buying his stuff. If he wasn't selling sneakers, if he wasn't, if that report didn't come out, I would think differently. But just to see alone that there was a report recently that he's signed a deal with them to offload all their stock makes it seem like, okay, maybe they'd be willing to work with him again in the future, especially since they just released a new slide as well. I saw that today on G.O.O.D, but there's a new slide that was released too. So it seems like they might be trying to, slowly by slowly get a working relationship back together. So Kanye gets that together, the financials back together. He has a wife in his life. I believe the next step will be music for him. So let's lean into the point why I believe that the next album should be Good Ass Job. I can say it now. We're well into the video. Good Ass Job would be his My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy in 2023 or 2024, wherever he would decide to release it. Your time to go back to who you were originally in your music. You don't have to try to chase the past, but lean into those soul beats. That's who you are. Lean into those bars about your life, getting introspective. Stop worrying about getting so many writers on your song. Yeah, if you work with Rhymefest, that's fine. He's been around forever. Malik Yusuf, okay, whatever, cool. But stop going for all these people, the side highs. Like, I love side high, but, if he comes around, cool. But, stick with the people that have been there since day one. I'm not going to say Side hasn't been there. He's been there since My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and he's helped you a lot. But I believe that you should go back to you writing the bars. I believe my No More Parties in LA was you writing that. Go back to you writing the bars. Make sure it's more personal about your situation, what you're going through. Talk about your mom more, man. Get that off your chest. Let the public know what you're personally going through up here so we know how to perceive you out there. This is your time to really dig in and make the best album that you can make instead of making all these demo albums, because you've been making nothing but demo albums since Life of Pablo, in my opinion, since Jesus. But if you want to be real, if to the public, I would say since Life of Pablo, it's been evident that everything has been a demo album or an unfinished album. So why not just make a complete album that we know you can make? We've seen you do it multiple times before. College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, 808s and Heartbreak, even Watch the Throne are complete albums. Just complete an album. You don't have to, up to the last minute, work on it. Yeah. If that's the case, then cool. But don't release something that, I just did the vocals tonight and they're not even mixed. Like, no, man. Take the time and actually make a good album because your audience is waiting for it. Obviously, I'm a Kanye fan, so I'm going to be looking to listen to whatever he puts out, and I'm going to, pick and choose what I like, what I don't like, which I've had to do for the past couple albums because I haven't really enjoyed a full album from him maybe since Watch the Throne. Honestly, like a whole complete album, I would say there's Life of Pablo, I probably like 85% to 90, maybe 87 to 90% of the whole album. Donda's probably the one of the albums where I almost like the whole thing, but I didn't like the fact that you redid every song again, a different version of it. Like, I listened to Jail at the top of the album. Now I get to the bottom of the album and I'm done the whole album, and then I got to listen to Jail Part 2. And it's just literally just a change that the baby is now on it. So it's like, man, just make a complete album and just deliver it. Why keep on doing these demo albums or not being finished or have a thought or certain people come in, they put out, like, you can hear Baby, I keep bringing this up, but you can hear Baby Keem on Praise God literally trying to get his flow together on that song, and you literally just put out him just like trying to find out where he's going to go on his beat, like trying to find his placement. You just put it out without anybody even finishing it. Now, I can say there's certain songs that you have had either full versions of snippets of, and it was just you working on it, and we finally got the final version, like Hurricane. The beginning, the first version of Hurricane was you singing on it. Because if you even go back to like the Yandi preview trailer, whatever it was that you released on Instagram, or I believe first with like the crystal case and everything. It was you singing the Weeknd's hook, or the, you know, I think you wrote the hook, but you singing that part, and then Ant Clemens on the song as well. So obviously that song has evolved, and it's a beautiful song. Like, there's definitely completed songs on the album. Majority of the songs are completed on Donda, but I would say there's a couple of places where you're like, okay, that person didn't finish their verse. Okay, this obviously wasn't fine tuned. So just take your time. Honestly, we will be willing to wait if you're going to deliver something to the caliber of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Graduation, Late Registration, your classics. This is the time to do it. Why not do it with Good Ass Job? Just close that chapter out. Bring back the bear. Brings back some familiarity. Go to Chicago. Work with, you know, Rhyme Fest. Work with these people that's been in your life all this time, and just deliver a great album. Why not? I believe the bridge with Cudi is burned, so that's fine. But I believe you can still make a good album without Cudi. That sucks that we'll never hear a Kanye and Cudi collab, at least from what it seems, nowhere near in the future. That's what Pusha T said when they came to that whole thing, clearing that song that's on Pusha T's last album. But whatever. But just deliver what we know you can do to that caliber of your art, and get everything that you have inside out that way, rather than attacking certain groups of people, or just, I don't even know, just going on your rampage for whatever agenda you have, but then running through people or running over people in the process. Because why run over the people that love you, the people that support you? So many people support and love you, but you decide to just attack these people or attack these groups, and I could never understand it, honestly. So that's my opinion. This is why I believe his next album should be Good Ass Job. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. This is just my opinion. And I honestly, I have little faith that this will be the case, but we'll see. You never know what Kanye will be into. Please like, comment, subscribe on my videos. I want to be able to communicate with you guys. Let me know what kind of videos you want. You know, I have my own ideas and stuff I come out throughout the day. I actually really be thinking on what am I going to talk about today or the next video. So if you guys have ideas or artists I could talk about, even if I don't know them, I'll research them. You know what I mean? Or I'll let you know, like, you know, I don't really think I can give much to this person, but if I can, I'm gonna definitely do my best. I'm gonna do my due diligence. But thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and thank you for your time. Have a good one.